Alright, hey guys. Today we are going to be working on changing equations that are written in standard form to slope-intercept form. So you should have a piece of paper like I have in front of me. Everything that I write on my paper, you should write on your paper. This will be taken up at the end of class, and it is for a grade, so be thorough. Alright, so let's title our paper. We said that we are going from standard form to slope intercept form. Okay. So that really means that these equations are going to come in what we call AX plus BY equals C. That's how it's going to be set up. Something X plus something Y equals another number. And we want to rearrange it into Y equals MX plus B. So basically we're solving for Y. We're going to get Y by itself. When you learned how to solve two-step equations, that's what you focused on, was isolating the variable. So we're still going to be using those same skills. All right, let's look at the first problem. We're going to start out pretty easy. Let's say I've got 8x plus y equals 9. Okay. All right, the second step is always moving this extra number. Okay, leave the y for last if there's anything to take care of, but move this extra number first. And remember, we use inverse operations to do that. So if this is a positive 8, I'm going to do a negative 8x. And we move it as a chunk. Okay. So this zeroes out. I have y left, which is what I wanted. And we said we're looking for mx plus b, so let's put our mx first. So negative 8x plus 9. Okay. Now when I taught this, and we just talked about it briefly, we'll still go more detail later, but I related it to if it's positive on this side of the equal sign and I'm moving it to the other, it's like you're changing teams. You're getting a different jersey. So if I'm positive on this side, I've got to be negative when I go over here. If it starts out negative, then it turns positive. Okay? That might help you just moving to the other side of the equal sign. You've got to change its side. But we show what's happening because it's an equation and we've got to show that it's staying balanced. Okay? And then we can't do anything else at this point. I can't combine negative 8x and 9. They're not like terms. You learned that last year that they have to be like terms to be able to combine them. So that's it. I'm done. The only thing now is if I needed to graph it, I could do that. Okay, or pick out my M and my B. But this is all I'm asking for today. Okay. All right, now let's look at number 2. I got negative 5x plus y equals 13. Okay, very similar to number 1. We're still focusing on that negative 5x, so we're going to move it to the other side. The opposite of negative 5x would be positive 5x. So I'm going to add 5x to each side. That zeroes out. And I have y equals, remember we want the x first, so 5x plus 13. And then I'm done. All right, let's do one more here, similar. So I got 2x minus y equals 10. All right, so still, the 2x is what I've got to focus on. We take care of the x first. So it's a positive 2x, so I subtract 2x. I do the negative. Okay. This zeroes out. Now be careful here. This says minus y, and we know from the past that really means that you have negative y, which is the same as negative 1y. So if you need to write in the 1 so you don't forget about it, write it in. That's okay. So it equals negative 2x plus 10. Okay. Now, I have to, the rules for solving an equation, if we're solving for y, y has to be positive. I can't leave that variable negative. So I've got to take care of this. So to get rid of this negative 1, this is multiplying, so I just divide. And if I divide one piece by negative 1, I divide every piece by negative 1. Okay. So those reduce down, so I just have y. Negative 2 over negative 1, two negatives make a positive, and 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. So essentially it just changed the signs of everything on the other side. Okay, so I now have y equals 2x minus 10, and I'm good. Okay. All right, let's do another one like that. Let's say I've got negative 6x minus y equals negative 15. All right, we're moving the negative 6x first, so I'm going to add 6x. So that zeroes out. We've got that minus y again, so that means I really have negative 1y equals 6x. And this says negative 15, so I'm just writing minus 15. You could put plus a negative if you want. It's the same thing. All right, then I've got to take care of this negative 1, so we said this was multiplying, so we divide each piece by negative 1. Okay. All right, that cancels down, so I got y equals, then 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6x, don't forget your x, and then negative 15 divided by negative 1, two negatives make a positive. Okay. And I'm done. Okay. Now, and if any time during the video, if I go too fast, or maybe you didn't understand something, you know it's a video, so you can either pause it till you catch up, or you can rewind it and watch the one that you missed. Watch it again. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't just watch these videos and run them on closed caption. You really need to be hearing our voice and hearing us explain it. Okay, do what works best for you. If it works best for you to watch me work it the first time, and then you pause it, and then you go back and copy it and think through it, that's fine. This is your video to make the most of. You just have to be sure you get through with it. All right, number 5. Let's add a little bit to it. Let's say I got 4x plus 2y equals 16. Still taking care of that x first. So it's a positive 4x. So what am I going to do? What's the opposite of positive 4x? Yes, that's negative 4x. Show it on both sides. That zeroes out. So I have 2y equals negative 4x plus 16. Now be sure you're being neat. This is a little bit bigger, and some of you are not very neat. You know who you are. Don't make me say your names. So take your time. Write it where we can read it. All right, still got to get rid of the 2. So divide every piece by 2. Okay. That gives me just a y, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. You know, there's a 1 understood. All right, negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x. And 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay? If at some point you're not sure of your division or you're not sure of the signs, you do have a calculator on your table that you can use if necessary when you get to doing these yourself. But hopefully you're okay at this point. All right, so I've got it in slope-intercept form. I've got my y equals mx plus b, so I'm good. All right, let's try this one. Negative 30x minus 5y equals 100. Now, I'd like for you to pause the video and give this one a try. Now, if you're totally lost, that's okay. It's okay to try it and then come back and hit play, and we'll walk through the video. We'll walk through the problem together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take care of that negative 30x. The opposite, or the inverse of negative 30, is positive 30x on both sides. Okay, so that's gone. It's zeroed out. I have negative 5y equals 30x plus 100. Okay. Still got to take care of that negative 5. They're multiplying, so we divide by it. Make sure you keep it negative. It was negative, so we keep it negative. Every piece gets divided by negative 5. Okay. Those reduce out, so I have y. 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6x. And 100 divided by negative 5 is negative 20. And you could put plus negative 20 or we can put minus 20. I'm okay either way there. Okay. All right, how we doing so far? Good, I hope. All right, number 7. I got negative x plus 3y equals 12. All right, let's take care of the x. So negative x, I want to do the opposite. So I want to add x. That zeroes out. I got 3y equals x plus 12. Now at this point you may, because we're going to have to do some dividing, you might want to go ahead and just write in the 1 that's understood in front of that x. It might make it a little easier for you on the next step. All right, then we're going to divide by this 3 because we've got to get y by itself. So each piece gets divided by 3. These reduce out. Now, if you've got the smaller number on top, don't worry about doing 1 divided by 3 and getting a decimal. This is slope. Remember, it's okay for that to be a fraction. We kind of like that. So let's just leave it as 1/3 x plus, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. That's why it's important. It's maybe a little easier if you write your 1 in front of the x. It's a little easier to look at than just x divided by 3. You can see that it's really 1/3. Okay. Now let's look at 2x minus 10y equals negative 50. All right, taking care of this 2x. Again, that's always the first thing we do. So subtract the 2x. So that's gone. So I have negative 10y equals negative 2x minus 50, because 50 was negative, so I just write it as a minus. Okay. All right, then we're dividing by, oops, sorry, my bad, by negative 10. Always dividing by that coefficient of y. So dividing by negative 10, dividing by negative 10. All right, these reduce out. And think about these. So we got negative 2 over negative 10. Well, we know 2 negatives make a positive, so we really have 2 tenths. And we could go ahead and reduce that. 2 goes into 2 1 time, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So let's just leave it as 1/5 x. Okay? And then negative 50 divided by negative 10. 2 negatives make a positive when dividing, so plus 5. Okay, all right, you're doing great. Let's keep going. All right, I've got 4x plus 3y equals 9. All right, I'd like you to pause the video and work this one, solve it for y, and then come back to the video. You will get more out of the video if you attempt the problems and then watch us work through them. Okay. All right, welcome back. We had positive 4x, so let's subtract 4x. So that's gone. I have 3y equals negative 4x plus 9. All right, let's get the y by itself. So divide each piece by 3. That's gone. So y equals, and remember this is slope, so I don't want to turn that into a mixed number. Really don't even want a decimal. I just want to leave it as negative 4/3 x, and then 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay. All right, let's keep rolling. Number 10, I got x plus 2y equals -8. And again, first thing we do is take care of that x. Yeah, let me, looking a little blurry. There we go. So we're going to subtract x. So those are gone. So I have 2y equals -x, and if you want to write -1x, that's fine, -8. Okay. And then, you guessed it, we're going to divide by that too, because we want y by itself. So each piece gets divided by 2. Okay. These are gone. They reduce down to 1. So y equals, again, small numbers on top, so just leave it as that fraction and it won't reduce. So -1/2 x, and -8 divided by 2 is -4. Okay. All right, number 11. I got 2y minus 3x equals 6. Okay. Now, they've rearranged it a little bit for us. This time they put the y first. That's okay. We are still moving the x. You leave the y to last. So I got minus 3x, so we add 3x. So that's gone. So I have 2y equals 3x plus 6. All right, still got to get y by itself. That's multiplying. So I'm looking to divide each piece by 2. Okay, that reduces down to 1. So I got y equals, remember this is slope. I don't want a mixed number. Just leave it as 3/2. So 3/2 x, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. Good deal. All right, you try number 12. So I've got 3y plus 2x equals 6. So pause the video, try it, see what you can do. Okay. All right, now hopefully you moved your x first. So we're going to subtract 2x. This is gone. So I have 3y equals -2x plus 6. I'm going to divide by the 3 because we've still got to get y by itself. So each piece divides by 3. This reduces down to 1. We want a fraction here. We're good with that. So just leave it as -2/3 x, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay? Because we do want to divide out at this point. This is your y-intercept. So if it had been like 6/5, I would have gone ahead and made a mixed number, because remember, when you're plotting those points, I need somewhere to go on the y, and 6/5 doesn't really tell me, but 1 1/5, I know to go a little past the 1. So it's okay to make the y-intercept, your b, to make that into a whole number, a mixed number, but let's leave the slope as a fraction. All right, let's try this one. Let's do 3x plus 2y equals 6. Now notice it's very similar to the one we just had, but the last one was 3y. This one has 2y. The order has been changed, so you've got to pay attention to these. Notice we had the 2's and 3's over here again, but we do get different answers. Okay, so we're going to take care of the x first. So minus 3x, because it was a positive, I do the inverse. I do it on each side. So that's gone. I got 2y equals -3x plus 6. And then to get y by itself, I'm dividing each piece by 2. So y equals, don't make a mixed number, this is slope, so negative 3/2 x, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so again, a different answer. All right, let's look at number 14. Let's do 2x minus 3y equals 6. All right, you pause the video and do this one. I'm even going to go ahead and give you the numbers for 15. So if you want to pause the video, do the last or these two problems, and then we'll go over them. So 15 will be 3y plus 2x equals 4. Pause the video and work both of those. I bet you can do it. All right, here we go. So on 14, I'm taking care of the x first. So I subtract 2x. So that's gone. So I have negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Y is not by itself yet, so I need to take care of that. So I divide every piece by negative 3. Okay. That's gone. So y equals, all right, negative 2 divided by negative 3. Just leave it as the fraction, but we can go ahead and clean it up and show that two negatives make a positive. So I have 2/3 x, and then 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Okay. All right, then number 15, same thing. We're moving the 2x first. So subtract 2x on each side. That zeroes out. So I have 3y equals negative 2x plus 4. And then I divide each piece by 3. So y equals, I have negative 2/3 x, and then this is 4/3. So this is your y-intercept. This is your b. So I don't really want to leave this as an improper. I want to go ahead and make this a mixed number. So 4 divided by 3, we just have 1 whole time, 1 as the remainder, and you keep the denominator. So 1 and 1/3. Okay. All right, you're doing great. All right, now turn your paper over. I'm going to grab a different sheet. Okay. All right, so you got your paper turned over. It's not got boxes on the back, but that's okay. All right, we're just going to add a few more problems on here. So this will be number 16. We just didn't do the double-sided paper this time. All right, this time let's do negative x minus y equals negative 10. Okay. Still the same kind of problem. You're still getting y by itself, so I'm taking care of the x. So if I've got negative x, I'm going to add x. So even if I don't have a lot of numbers, I still have to go through the same steps. All right, I have negative y, so don't forget. Let's write that down as negative 1y. And then I've got x minus 10. Okay. And then I've got to get rid of that negative 1. So we're dividing every piece by negative 1, which really just changes all the signs. It doesn't change any of the numbers. These reduce. So y equals, so there's a 1 understood, so 1 divided by negative 1, sorry, let that focus. 1 divided by negative 1 is just negative 1, so negative x, and negative 10 divided by negative 1, two negatives make a positive. Okay, all right, good job. Now let's do one more of these. You're also, when we finish with this, you're going to have a couple of other videos to watch in Google Classroom. So you can use the back of this paper if you see something different, if you need to jot down a note or two. But this will be graded, but it will be given back to you. So you can use the bottom for workspace if needed. All right, let's do this one more. So let's have negative 4x plus 5y equals 20. All right, I want you to pause the video. I want you to do it and then come back and see if you did it correctly. All right, so we're taking care of this negative 4x, so we're going to add 4x. So those are gone. So now I've got 5y equals 4x plus 20. Still got to get y by itself. So I'm dividing by 5 each piece. That reduces out. So y equals 4/5 x plus 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay. All right, guys, that's pretty much all there is to it. You're just going from standard form to slope-intercept form. That's important because we can't look at this form of the equation and pick out slope, pick out the m and the b. I need it in slope-intercept form. So there will be questions in the future where you have to pick those pieces out, or maybe you have to compare the slope of an equation here to the slope of an equation here, and you have to be able to pick out the slope. So you got to convert first to make comparisons. All right, guys, you did a great job. Thanks.